You are watching KAVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Adam Seibel. A motorbike accident earlier today resulted in one person injured. This was around noon. Witnesses at the scene say that a yellow-colored motorbike made a right turn onto Navarro in front of the HEB Plus, and while doing so, sideswiped a maroon Chevrolet traveling northbound on Navarro. The driver of the motorbike received some injuries and was treated on the scene. The driver of the Chevrolet was not injured. 4 cars were involved in a severe crash around 7 p.m. This was Saturday night near Northwest Zach Lentz Parkway. Witnesses saw one person taken by first responders to a local hospital. The Victoria County Sheriff's Office continues to investigate the crash, and we're waiting to hear back from the Victoria Police Department on both of those accidents. A federal judge in Victoria backed a Biden policy letting migrants from 4 countries come to the U.S. with American sponsors. The program allows 30,000 migrants monthly from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. Since it began, 386,000 have joined. Texas sued, but the judge dismissed the lawsuit, citing no harm. The judge mentioned reduced costs due to fewer illegal entries. The White House supports the ruling, urging Congress to pass border security laws. The chairman of the Port of Bay City was critically injured. His wife and another driver killed in a fatal crash early Friday morning. According to the Bay City Tribune, Oscar Abladina and the third and Donna Harrison died at the scene. George Harrison sustained critical injuries and was taken to the hospital. Bay City police want information on 22-year-old Joel Lopez of Bay City. Lopez is wanted for his reported involvement in a recent shooting in Bay City. Lopez faces a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Authorities say the suspect should be considered armed and dangerous, and to contact local law enforcement if you know his whereabouts. 1 month ago, Wharton police arrested Wayner Austin on 7 felony warrants shortly after he escaped custody from handcuffs and remains at large. Last seen wearing a black hoodie with blue jeans and white shoes. Contact authorities, and Wharton police say he's not a threat to public safety. All right, time to talk weather on this Sunday night. Let's check in with First Warn Storm Team meteorologist Trey Mining to see what your week will look like. Trey?
Everyone, Trey Mining here. We've had cloudy skies throughout the majority of the day today, still continuing with that. Some tropical jet stream coming in from the Pacific across Mexico and South Texas, keeping our clouds in place here. But eventually we'll have some rainfall chances coming our way. Need a trigger mechanism for that. There'll be a front headed our way coming up by the end of the week. What are the percentages? Any changes in their temperature could be on both levels. We'll take a look at that coming up later on in your full forecast.
Thanks, Trey. Advocacy groups gathered in Austin this weekend to protest for migrants' rights. The We Will Resist rally was to protest against Operation Lone Star and Senate Bill 4, which would allow police to arrest people suspected of crossing the Texas-Mexico border illegally. More than 40 organizations from across the state rallied together. During their protests, some attendees used large puppets and danced to demonstrate what they say it's like to be an immigrant family in Texas. 2 U.S. National Guard members and Border Patrol agents that were killed in Friday's helicopter crash near the Texas border have been identified. Officials in New York said the 2 soldiers who died were Army National Guard members Casey Franskoski and John Gracia III. And the Department of Homeland Security confirmed the Border Patrol agent that died was Chris Luna. A 4th New York Army National Guard soldier was injured in the crash, but there were no further details on their condition. Officials said the chopper had been assigned to a support mission at the southwest border and went down while conducting aviation operations. The crash still under investigation. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump have nearly secured their party's nominations and are gearing up for another general election campaign. Both on the campaign trail this weekend, but as both men bring their message to voters, a new ABC News poll finds that Americans are split on who they trust to do a better job leading the country.
President Biden and Donald Trump both visiting the battleground state of Georgia on Saturday, taking aim at one another.
Donald Trump and the MAGA Republicans are trying to take our freedoms away.
You're destroying our country, Joe.
The latest ABC News Ipsos poll finds Americans are split, with 33% saying they trust President Biden to do a better job leading the U.S., while 36% say Donald Trump, and another 30% say neither. The poll also found just 33% of Americans have a favorable impression of Biden, compared to 29% for Trump.
These campaigns are going to have to give these voters something to vote for. They can't just say that they are an option to vote against their opponent.
Trump has been campaigning heavily on immigration.
The border is the biggest problem. I think it's one of the biggest problems, the greatest threat to the history of our country.
Though last month, the former president urged Republicans to not pass any Biden-backed immigration legislation. Another important issue for many voters, the economy. During his State of the Union address, President Biden touting his administration's economic accomplishments.
15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record. Unemployment at 50-year lows.
Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg believes the president deserves more credit for the economic results he's delivered.
It requires work to get that story out, especially when there's a fire hose of negativity talking down the economy and trying to change the subject from the president's achievements, which is just politics.
The president now heads to 2 more battleground states this week, Wisconsin and Michigan. Trump's plans this week have not been announced. Ike Ajachi, ABC News, Washington.
In Arkansas, an early morning shooting near downtown Jonesboro left 3 people dead, including the suspected gunman. Jonesboro police said officers responded to the scene around 5 a.m. and found multiple gunshot victims resulting from a domestic case. 7 people were shot and 3 died, including the gunman. Officials said the 2 deceased victims, a woman and man, were known by the suspect as a woman who was among the injured. The 3 other people that were wounded had no known connection to the suspect. That investigation ongoing. Grab your cell phone to scan this QR code. That's a quick response code to download the Crossroads Today app. Watch us anytime, anywhere, and get breaking news alerts and vote in our viewer polls. Learn all about our ongoing contests right there on the app, and you can submit news, tips, and photos. And remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. You can subscribe and hit the notification bell. And stay with us. Coming up, the U.S. ramping up efforts to get aid to the starving people of Gaza.
Cloudy skies are persistent throughout the day. Does it mean rainfall eventually for us? Could be. We'll take a look coming up in your forecast.
Now, the United States ramping up efforts to get aid to the starving people of Gaza. A logistics vessel now heading to the eastern Mediterranean. President Biden has ordered the U.S. military to build a floating pier off the Gaza Strip that will allow relief and supplies to be delivered by sea.
Tonight, no ceasefire on the eve of Ramadan. Israeli forces pressing on, with the death toll in Gaza now passing 31,000. and more than 70,000 injured, according to the Hamas-run health ministry. President Biden defending Israel's right to pursue Hamas, but warning Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu the scale of civilian suffering in Gaza is damaging Israel's international reputation.
He must pay more attention to the innocent lives being lost as a consequence of the actions taken. He's hurting, in my view, he's hurting Israel more than helping Israel.
The president's plan to build a temporary pier off Gaza for aid shipments now in motion. The US military saying this logistics vessel left Virginia this weekend, carrying construction equipment to the eastern Mediterranean off Gaza's coast. Meanwhile, in nearby Cyprus, this Spanish boat, packed with 200 tons of food from US-based World Central Kitchen, set to depart as soon as possible, as the UN warns of a potential famine. At this Gaza hospital, little Mahmoud's mother, Intisar, telling ABC News her son is sick and dehydrated because of a lack of food. With Ramadan set to begin, heightened Israeli security around Jerusalem, including the Al-Aqsa Mosque. This is the third holiest site for Muslims anywhere in the world. And keeping the peace here at the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem during Ramadan without a ceasefire in place in Gaza will be critical for dialing down tensions in this entire region. Tonight we saw Israeli police stopping some young men from entering the mosque. The sheikh directing part of that holy site telling me all Muslims should be allowed inside the mosque to pray. Well, officials say that World Central Kitchen aid in Cyprus will take 2 to 3 days to arrive at an undisclosed location in Gaza after it departs. In terms of that US-made pier off the coast, well, Pentagon officials estimate that could be completed in about 2 months. Tom Sufi Burridge, ABC News, Jerusalem.
3 people are injured and a gunman is dead after a domestic shooting in Nashville, Tennessee today. Officials with the Metro Nashville Police Department said the shooter was the estranged boyfriend of a 31-year-old woman. The man shot at that woman, a 21-year-old woman, and a 7-year-old boy and a 7-month-old baby. The 2 women and the 7-year-old boy were hurt in the shooting and taken to Vanderbilt with critical injuries. However, police say the baby was not hit. According to police, after the man shot at the victims, he took his own life. Police note that there is no threat to the public. Now to a social media giant under attack in Washington. The House set to vote this week on a bill designed to force TikTok's Chinese parent company to sell off its stake or face a possible ban in the United States.
Did you wake up with this message on TikTok today?
This morning, the viral video app TikTok is on the verge of a nationwide ban.
I do know people and have friends on that platform who are in fear because that is their entire livelihood.
A House committee unanimously approving legislation earlier this week requiring ByteDance, the app's Chinese parent company, to sever ties with TikTok within 6 months or risk getting blocked on app stores and websites in the U.S. President Biden reiterating his support for the bill despite his campaign launching a new TikTok account.
If they pass it, I'll sign it.
Former President Trump reacting on social media, opposing the ban on TikTok, claiming it will help Meta's business, writing, "I don't want Facebook doing better." The app used by around 170 million Americans, sending this push notification to users, asking them to stop a TikTok shutdown and call their representatives.
We simply cannot allow an app controlled by our nation's foremost adversary and competitor to take over the American media landscape.
Lawmakers from both parties have long expressed concerns that Chinese authorities could force ByteDance to hand over data from its millions of users. A TikTok spokesperson releasing this statement, blasting the legislation, saying this will damage millions of businesses, deny artists an audience, and destroy the livelihoods of countless creators across the country.
For more on today's news stories, come to crossroadstoday.com. You can submit your birthday wishes. Carolina Estrain will read them live on 25 News Now Sunrise, and you can submit a local military hero so we can recognize them.
Cloudy skies will persist throughout the day. Does that mean rainfall eventually for us? Could be. We'll take a look coming up in your forecast. And good evening, everyone. It was a very warm day across Texas today, not only here in the Crossroads area with 70s for our highs, all of Houston, down the Rio Grande Valley near 80 degrees, same thing in Laredo. Up in the Panhandle, about the same as here in the mid to lower 70s was the daytime high. It's a very spring-like feel to the air across the Lone Star State. High temperatures next 5 days. We're starting off in the 70s on your Monday, then rising to about 80 degrees or so by Wednesday and Thursday. A little bit of reduction in temperatures by Friday into Saturday. Why? Because the front will move through during this time period here with some rainfall chances and cooler temperatures, a little bit cooler, I should say. And warm and humid conditions, that's the weather headlines for us. They're going to remain in place. Gusty winds midweek as the low pressure area building out west will get close to us, kind of increasing that pressure gradient a bit. Rain chances also coming in not until the latter half of the week when that system I'm talking about gets closer to us. 68 degrees was the high today, low 43 degrees was the official low, which is 10 degrees cooler than we should be. Normal high should be 74 degrees. We were below that as well. And no rain as of yet, keeping on the dry side for the time being, then the rainfall will come into place. And starting off at 11 o'clock, we're starting off in the 50s and probably remaining near that for the majority of the nighttime hours. Coming up in the overnight, maybe getting near some 40s up there in Hallettsville and points to the north. And then the temperatures for your Monday afternoon begin to move up fairly quickly, over 70 degrees by the time we get to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And doing it again for your day on Tuesday, maybe a little bit warmer by then as well. That moisture continues to build on in. We've had northerly winds for the majority of the weekend, kept us on the cool side. But you kind of see a little bit, especially in our eastern counties, a little bit more of a shift to the south. That means moisture up the go building in and giving us more humid feel. Winds about calm everywhere you go, so not much of an issue there. Looking at the satellite radar composite, we have these tropical jet moving in. No rain as of yet. A few rain showers there south of Del Rio, pretty much where they're going to stay for the time being. High pressure dominates our weather here and it's continuing to move to the east with time, allowing the southerly wind flow to take hold. The persistent subtropical jet will keep the clouds in for the majority of the week, so there won't be any rain clouds as of yet, but give it kind of a looking darkish at times with a cloud cover throughout the entire area. Let's go back to this graphic right here. Northerly winds taking hold, southerly winds take hold as well, keeping the clouds in. No rain as of yet. We'll see that toward the end of the week. Victoria, looking nice tonight. 57 degrees by the time we get to 9 a.m. wake up time tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies throughout the entire day. Highs in the low 70s. Whirl, about the same as well, starting off in the 50s by 9 a.m. High temperature about 73, 74 degrees with sunny to partly cloudy skies. More clouds than sun, I'm thinking. Port Lavaca about the same as well. Temperatures in the 70s for highs with partly cloudy skies. Extended forecast for us. Looking good for the first half of the week. Rain chances coming in Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday with high temperatures in the 80s to upper 70s throughout the entire forecast period. Not too bad. Now take a look at this right here. This is the QR code. Get your smartphone, scan the code. You see right there, they're taking you to a webpage. You can download our app and be connected with us. News, weather, and sports all at your fingertips. Very easy, convenient, and it's free of charge.
Thank you, Trey. Well, we've got some Victoria East Titans who are headed to state. I'll have those coming up in sports. Big game over at Memorial Stadium Saturday afternoon. The East Titans, with a win, punched their ticket to the postseason, and well, they were able to do just that using 3 first-half goals, courtesy of Matthew Garcia, Pedro Gavina, and Elmer Guevara. And when that clock hit 0, they gave Coach Chaput an ice bath to celebrate. The boys are off for the week. We'll find out the playoff details soon for the East Side. We had some soccer in Victoria on Friday as well. The girls taking on King in a zone crossover game, and the West ladies get the win 4-0. Abby Adcock with a hat trick, scoring 3 of the Warriors' goals. The other one off the foot of Ava Gonzalez. The assist came from Kennedy Blau, and Sienna sitting down Rodriguez. Mia Fonseca had 2 saves on the evening. The girls finished 3rd in the district. Just like the East Side, will have playoff details for the West Side pretty soon. We do have a district champion in the area, and that being the Calhoun Sand Crabs, who for the 2nd straight year are able to accomplish just that. They defeat Hallettsville 12-1. This just a small step towards their ultimate goal as they compete for a state title. They fell just a few wins shy last year. The postseason right around the corner. Victoria East Powerlifting sending 12 girls to state pretty soon, and the boys just competed at the regional championship trying to send some guys to state, and they were able to do just that. They sent a handful of guys to state, actually. Jose Lugo in the super heavyweight claimed first, setting a new record, benching a whopping 600 pounds. Mason Gwatz, excuse me, I hope I said that last name correct, got 2nd. He also qualifies for state. Also qualifying for state, Draven Garza, Randall Delgado, Victor Robertson, Joe Alarcon, and Jordan Stafford as well. UHV baseball had 3 games at home this weekend. This game from last night, Mason Longoria on the mound. He was fantastic once again with 11 strikeouts on the night, and he also had the offense to back him up, as well as the Jags scored early, giving Longoria some run support. The home team not only got the win last night over Xavier, but they swept the doubleheader today as well. They have won 5 games in a row. Speaking of winning, Full Force Gymnastics shining out in Oklahoma City, winning like they usually do. Chad Ganaway saying day 3 could not have gone any better for the kids. River Taylor and Elizabeth Creamer and Allie Bowman all 1 goal today on tumbling. This after the first 2 days saw them win big on trampoline. They will return home to Victoria tonight. Maybe we'll have an opportunity to catch up with the girls over at the Full Force Gym later this week. That is it for your sports. Adam, back to you.
All right, thanks, Zach. Stay with us. Coming up, dozens tested their pucker power by taking part in a conch shell blowing contest held in Key West, Florida. Service Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Just search Crossroads Today Plus. Dozens tested their pucker power by taking part in a conch shell blowing contest held in Key West, Florida Saturday while making music with a conch shell. Might seem unusual to some. Several people tried it during the annual conch shell blowing contest, and the judges evaluated those who competed on the quality of sound, duration, loudness, and novelty of sounds they made. The conch honk ended with a tie in the men's division between Peter Drake and Brian Cardis, and Angela Hodek earned the women's division title. The contest, which is presented by Key West Old Islands Restoration Foundation, salutes the Florida Keys safaring heritage. All right, so we have time for one last look at the weather with Trey. Let's go over to Trey real quick.
And once again, a look at your forecast for the week. Monday, well, not too bad. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy skies. We'll keep that trend going Tuesday and Wednesday. Notice higher temperatures above 80 by Wednesday into Thursday, possibly on Friday. Front moves through about Friday and Saturday. Will cool us down a little bit with 70s for highs over the weekend. Lows, 50s and 60s throughout the entire forecast period. Not too bad, and increasingly more humid and a little bit breezy by midweek as well. Make it a great week, everyone.
Thanks, Trey. Yeah, you know what? I remember running that same story last year, so it is an annual.
Well, there you go. I don't even know how you realize you can get good at something like that. You know what I mean? I've never picked up a shell and thought to really just blow into it like that.
Yes.
We also don't have a beach in Houston outside of Galveston. If you know anything about Galveston, you're not picking anything up off of that ground and putting it in your mouth. I have seen some disgusting things float around that wall. I love Galveston. I love it. But I'm not putting anything in my mouth from over there.
Maybe in Florida. I bet it's a common thing. Key West, maybe the beaches there.
Beautiful blue water down there.
Yeah.
Not so much here.
But beaches, you know, it's spring break coming up. I'm sure beaches here and there are about to be busy.
Oh, for sure. Very busy.
Yes. Well, thank you all for watching. And speaking of spring break, we hope you guys have a safe and fun one. And hope you join us for sunrise at 5 a.m. Have a good one.